Hey, what's good? MikeO from Let's Talk About It. Hit that subscribe button. Hope you all had a good weekend because I know I did. This Bud Crawford Madrimov card was one of the best cards I've seen in a long time, hands down. A lot of good fights, and let's go over a few of them. But, what did we learn from this weekend? And I think one of the biggest things that was learned is that styles make for good fights and for victories or losses. And I think that was the case to, a lot of these big upsets that we saw this past weekend. First off, let's talk Jared Anderson and Martin MikeO. This is a great fight. It was a huge upset. I had a buddy. I tried to have a buddy talk me into placing a bet for MikeO, but I didn't just go for it. And a strong part of me wanted to do it because seeing the highlights of MikeO, I said in the previous video that he moves forward and he lets his hands go. And that's exactly what he did. He has an arsenal of offensive moves in which he displayed with Jared Anderson. Right off the first round, right off the bat, Jared Anderson gets his back dirty, which eventually leads to a 5th round TKO. And they stopped the fight, and I could see in Jared Anderson, he was frustrated, but he wasn't frustrated because they stopped the fight. He was frustrated because he lost. He was done. MikeO was just if he was just too big and quick for him, just to really break it down. And like I said in a previous video, whoever were to win this fight, this is going to excel. This is going to excel the winner hugely, because I think that the heavyweight division, for one, is struggling right now, and they need some stronger opponents out there that can, bang with the Anthony Joshuas, and the other, top heavyweights in that division. And I think that, both fighters, win or lose, would have been catapulted into that range. So I'd personally like to see MikeO fight, someone, on the lines of, Daniel Dubois, someone in that range of fighter, but time will tell, and we'll see what happens with them. Jared Anderson, it's just a learning curve for him. He's a young man. He's 24 years old. He has time to grow. I just don't think that he was expecting this outcome. I think that he will have to go back to the drawing board and just to reinvent himself. He has to come back and avenge this loss. So another good heavyweight fight that I saw was the Andrew Ruiz Gerald Miller fight. And I thought that the 2-year layoff would be the reason why Andy Ruiz lost that fight. End up being a draw, but I still had Ruiz losing that fight. I thought that he tapped out. I thought he was gassed out after the 4th, 5th round, but come to find out he broke his hand. But regardless of him being tired or him being gassed out, I still think that he lost the fight. I think after around the 5th round, he didn't look the same. He wasn't throwing the punches because of the hand. But I thought that even his punches weren't hurting Miller anymore. Miller was walking through those punches, landing big shots. I didn't get the 2 even rounds, but I understand. And I kind of feel like they both have to rematch this fight to move on to better things. What do you guys think? Third fight that I thought mattered with styles was the Issa Cruz Jose Valenzuela. I thought that, I'm not gonna lie, in this fight, I thought that Issa Cruz had this in the bag before the fight. I thought that he would, show his strength and dominance and wear him out and eventually knock the fighter out. But again, styles make fights. And I think that Valenzuela did an excellent job. He did an excellent job defensively against Issa Cruz. He kept his chin tucked in. He rolled with a lot of the punches. He looked phenomenal defensively. And Venezuela really made Issa Cruz look one-dimensional. He made him look one-dimensional and very normal. As they say now, he made Issa Cruz look like regular weed. Let's just keep it a buck. That's exactly what he did. He made Issa Cruz look very average. And you could see the frustration throughout the fight. Issa Cruz really wanted to land those hard shots, and he landed a couple. But Venezuela, he either ate the punch, tucked his chin in, or rolled the punch. He was the best defensive fighter of the night. If they gave an award for best offensive and best defensive fighter, hands down, it would have been Jose Valenzuela. He won in a decision that was clearly, he clearly won that fight. And Issa Cruz, I'm sure he'd won a rematch, but if I'm Valenzuela, I'm moving on to bigger things, bigger checks. There's a lot of fighters out there at 140 that he could face. Last fight, of course, that I want to go over was the Bud Madrimov fight. And again, styles make for good fights, good or bad fights. And I think that this led to a bad fight to Styles, because I think Bud won the fight. It was a close fight, but I think Bud won the fight. And the reason why I think Bud won the fight is because I think what threw Bud off was how unorthodox Madrimov was. He kept moving his hands. He was throwing punches, really unorthodox. Terence Crawford could not time his punches at all. But the issue that I had is that Madrimov didn't really turn up offensively until the late rounds, like 10th round, late rounds. And to me, it looked like he kind of danced around too much. I didn't think he put enough offensive input into that fight. And I think that he was honestly a little nervous to get hit. Justifiably so. Going into that fight, Bud had a 6-year record of just all knockouts. So I'm pretty sure he was worried about his power, and justifiably so. So I think that he was trying to do what he had to do to try to win the fight. But I don't think that he was trying to dominate the fight, if that makes sense. And I think a lot of times when you start strategizing to just win enough rounds, of course it can go against you. And I've seen a lot of fighters that appeared to have had that strategy. And I think that if Madrimov would have came to fight, we would have probably seen either a different type of win for Terence Crawford or an upset win for Madrimov. But how the fight went, it looked like it was a lot of chasing. It was a lot of moments of just no action. It wasn't what people wanted and expected to see. And you still have to kind of tilt your hat to Madrimov because he didn't get knocked out. He put up a good fight. He made it to where it was a debatable fight. So regardless of whatever I say, with thinking that Terence Crawford won, Madrimov at least made it debatable. There are some people out here who are saying that he won the fight, and I understand that. I get it. I just think that he didn't do enough to beat Terence Crawford. And Terence Crawford tried to do a lot more to make it a fight than Madrimov did. So that's the only reason I gave him to fight. It was a close fight, but let me know what you guys think. How did you like this card, man? I'm telling you, this is definitely the best card that I've seen in years in boxing. Best full card. There were a lot of upsets, knockouts, exciting moments. It was great. Definitely best fight of 2024, or excuse me, best card of 2024. But I'd like to know what you guys think. Please comment, like, and subscribe. And until next time, I am out.